Could the BRICS 2025 summit be remembered as the event that shifted the balance of power for good? Can BRICS actually change the world? The world's most powerful nations have controlled global politics for decades, but 45% of humanity just declared independence from their system. This isn't theory. This is happening right now. In July 2025, something unprecedented occurred in Rio de Janeiro. The BRICS Summit 2025 wasn't just another diplomatic meeting. It was what Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim called a historic turning point in the unfinished struggle for post-colonial justice. Despite collective Western media coverage that pushed for a weak summit because some leaders didn't attend, the final result exceeded all expectations. The BRICS countries do not need to present all their leaders to please Daddy. They do not need leaders dressed up and with powdered noses. They need results. And the results are documented in the Rio de Janeiro Declaration, strengthening Global South cooperation for a more inclusive and sustainable governance. Every fact I am about to share comes directly from this groundbreaking document. For those of you who are curious, we have included a link to download the entire document in the description below. Here is the reality most people don't understand. BRICS isn't complaining anymore. They are executing. As Prime Minister Anwar put it bluntly, we cannot continue complaining but not executing. The era of waiting for permission from Washington or Brussels is over. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how BRICS plans to reshape global power. We will dive into their concrete strategies that could fundamentally change how the world operates. By the end, you'll see why the summit might mark a historic pivot in global power. Let's start with their most audacious demand. Prime Minister Modi dropped a bombshell at the summit. He said, 2/3 of humanity has been denied adequate representation in global institutions formed in the 20th century. Think about that for a moment. The United Nations Security Council, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, all created after World War II. Modi compared these outdated systems to a mobile phone with a SIM card, but no network. Without the Global South, they simply don't work. But here is what's different now. BRICS isn't just demanding reform, they are building alternatives. At this year's summit, China and Russia backed Brazil and India for bigger United Nations roles. This support aims to balance global decision-making power. China and Russia are permanent Security Council members. They made their position clear in the official declaration. Both Brazil and India seek greater influence in the United Nations. This includes wanting seats on the Security Council itself. BRICS pushed for real IMF reforms on economic governance. They agreed to a quota increase, but they made one thing clear. Developing nations must not be left behind. The goal? A new formula that reflects today's economic realities. The technical details show their deep commitment. BRICS gave consent to the proposed quota increase under the 16th General Review of Quotas. They urge other IMF members to do the same. No more delays. The message is crystal clear. Further quota changes in the IMF should not hurt developing countries. These changes must reflect countries' real positions in the global economy. They must increase the shares of emerging markets and developing economies. The Global South won't accept crumbs anymore. President Putin explained it perfectly. The model of liberal globalization is becoming obsolete. The center of business activity is shifting toward emerging markets. This shift is already happening. Their economic output is rapidly catching up to the G7. But economics is just the beginning. The New Development Bank has entered its second golden decade. It's actively expanding membership under President Dilma Rousseff. This isn't just another development bank, by the way. It's a direct challenge to the World Bank's monopoly on development financing. Trade was another key focus. BRICS stood united in support of the WTO as the foundation of fair global commerce. They welcomed Ethiopia and Iran's bids to join. This expands opportunities for emerging economies. The bloc voiced serious concerns about unilateral tariff measures. These distort trade and break WTO rules. They support the rules-based, open and fair multilateral trading system. The World Trade Organization sits at its core. Special treatment for developing members remains important. BRICS is doing something big. They are not just talking about problems with the dollar structure. They are building something new. BRICS is making a new payment system. It will be faster, cheaper, and safer. The BRICS Payment Task Force wrote a report about this. Finance ministers and central banks are working together. Malaysia is already trying new things too. They trade with Indonesia, Thailand, and China using their own money. This isn't full change yet. As Prime Minister Anwar said, that's a long road, but they are building the foundation now. The contingent reserve arrangement is getting better too. They are adding new currencies and better safety rules. The technical team agreed on a new treaty. They want to make the system work better. New BRICS members want to join this program. BRICS will also offer new guarantee tools. This challenges Western banks' control over global investment. Russia proposes a new investment platform in partnership with a new development bank to fund development free from external pressure.
Russia has issued an initiative to create within BRICS a new investment platform that will take into account the new BRICS Development Bank. The carrying out of this initiative will allow us to create the new development bank and to turn it into an innovative instrument for development that would not be affected by outside agendas.
They are starting the BRICS Grain Exchange. This could change how food is traded around the world. BRICS countries grow a lot of the world's food. They don't just feed themselves, they feed the world. More nations want to join BRICS. The future looks bright. BRICS chose dialogue over division amid rising global tensions. The summit tackled key issues from Middle East stability to Ukraine peace. BRICS is taking bold stances on world conflicts. They are not afraid to challenge Western views. They condemned military strikes against Iran since June 13th this year. These strikes violate international law and the United Nations Charter. On Palestine, their position is clear. Gaza and the West Bank must unite under Palestinian rule. They demand immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Israeli forces must withdraw from all occupied areas. BRICS supports Palestine's full United Nations membership. They back the two-state solution based on 1967 borders. On Syria, they support the country's sovereignty. They welcome the lifting of sanctions on Syria. For Ukraine, they recall their national positions from United Nations forums. This isn't just talk. BRICS rejects sanctions not approved by the United Nations Security Council. They oppose double standards in international law. This challenges Western foreign policy tools. It might not be enough, but it's definitely a step in the right direction, especially after the rumors about how the BRICS were handling the matter. Terrorism was also in focus. BRICS strongly condemned the terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir on April 2022 this year. 26 people were killed and many more injured. BRICS also condemned attacks on bridges and railways in Russia. These attacks hit civilian areas in Bryansk, Kursk, and Voronezh regions. The attacks happened on May 31st, June the 1st, and 5th, 2025. Multiple civilians were hurt, including children. Terrorism should not be linked to any religion or nationality. It should not be tied to any civilization or ethnic group. All those involved in terrorist activities must be held accountable. They must face justice under national and international law. Here is where BRICS really stands apart on climate. They are not climate deniers at all. Instead, they position themselves as climate justice advocates. They have adopted the Leaders' Framework Declaration on Climate Finance, but they're crystal clear about responsibility. Developed countries must provide resources to developing countries under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and Paris Agreement. BRICS rejects what they call environmental protectionism. They specifically oppose unilateral carbon border adjustment mechanisms. These aren't just simple trade barriers. They are protectionist measures disguised as environmental concerns. BRICS is launching something new at COP30. It's called the Tropical Forest Forever Facility. This innovative mechanism will mobilize long-term financing for tropical forest conservation. They are not waiting around for Western approval. They are taking action to solve problems themselves. The message comes through loud and clear. Developed countries caused the climate crisis, so they should be the ones paying for the solutions. BRICS invests in people, not just politics. They fight health gaps caused by poverty. The BRICS Technical and Vocational Education and Training Cooperation Alliance is expanding skills development across member countries. Cultural exchanges build connections beyond governments. As artificial intelligence changes work, BRICS wants inclusive policies. The goal is keeping humans central to growth. The BRICS 2025 summit wasn't just about policies. It was about people too. A vision where nations work together, where economies grow strong. The world is changing fast. BRICS is helping shape it for the better. They're working to boost insurance capacity. Finance ministers are leading this effort. Can BRICS change the world? The evidence says they already are. Their expansion continues. Indonesia is now a full member. Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Nigeria, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Uganda, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan are partner countries. This isn't just a diplomatic club anymore. It's a civilizational alliance. The challenges are real. As the group grows, reaching consensus gets harder, but the trajectory is clear. Power is shifting from west to east, from north to south. President Putin talks about a new model of global growth, one that values human potential over disposable products, while Trump threatens additional 10% tariff on countries aligning themselves with BRICS policy. Can you see? BRICS is offering an alternative, a world where economic systems are more inclusive. The question isn't whether BRICS can change the world, it's whether the old powers can adapt. And tomorrow marks the start of India's presidency of the BRICS. As always, we will be here to keep you in the loop. Thanks for watching.